Hey there. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be talking about how you can grow fresh produce all year long. And I'm really excited to share about this because I'm super passionate about gardening, and this has just been such a wonderful way for my family to have fresh produce all year long. So, my name is Heidi Dito, and I am a certified health coach with the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute. And I decided to partner 3 years ago with a company who really aligned with my goals and my mission to improve the health and wealth of others. So the Tower Gardens are part of the Juice Plus company, and I created this presentation with the help of Jen Crane and Eric Meyer. So to get started, I I mentioned that the Tower Gardens are a part of the Juice Plus company, and just to kind of give you a little bit of background on what that is. So Juice Plus is a company that provides concentrated whole foods in a capsule or chewable. We have shakes, we have bars. It's a very small product line. You'll see that on the right, the picture, that's pretty much my morning ritual right there. I take my vegan omegas, and the colored capsules are my 30 vine ripened fruits and vegetables. And it's really just a way for me to help bridge the gap to get my 7 to 13 that I really need. And right now I'm actually doubling up because I think it's that important. So let's get started. One of the reasons I got into health coaching is I started realizing how few fruits and vegetables people were really eating, 0 to 2. And there's no variety typically. If you think about what you ate yesterday, the day before, the day before that, I would be really surprised to hear if you had a lot of variety. I know we did not, and that's been kind of a challenge. It still is actually. Thankfully, we do have our Juice Plus capsules and chewables, and we do grow quite a bit of produce. 15%. That's how many people get 5 servings. We really need 7 to 13 or even more if we're pregnant or an athlete or we're immunocompromised. So, and if you think again, what are the things that those 15% of the people are eating? Those 5 servings are typically the same things over and over. And so it's whatever you can buy at the grocery store that's convenient. So if you look at this, a poor diet really has a huge effect on our health, and it leads to all of these diseases and illnesses that you can see here. But the good news is a lot of this is reversible with better nutrition. So while poor nutrition causes these more so than even genes, good nutrition can actually reverse or improve these conditions. So it's encouraging. It's not, it's not the worst news. So our food quality is decreasing. This is a perfect reason to grow your own food. You've got anything that has a label on it typically has things added into it. Not always, but if you walk through the middle aisles of the grocery store, you're going to see that our foods are they're food-like substances. They're loaded with all kinds of things that you can't even pronounce. And overall, our food quality is just decreasing, whether it's fresh produce or something that has a label on it. It's not the same as it was 100 years ago when your grandparents grew food and you went out to the garden and picked it, and very few things came with labels. It's kind of just the way our world has become, and it's really based on convenience and cost. So I love this quote. It's a little bit grainy, but the news isn't that fruits and vegetables are good for you, but they are so good for you they may save your life. I think that's great, and that's one of my favorite quotes. All right, so why grow your own and why Tower Gardens by Juice Plus? Well, control. I mean, you have so much control when you grow your own food. Unfortunately, we can't control the environment. We can't control how much it's going to rain or how little it's going to rain. I had a gorgeous garden probably about 10 years ago, beautiful melons. I mean, it was probably the nicest garden I'd ever grown, tomatoes, all kinds of just gorgeous produce, just almost ready to be picked. And then we got rain for about 2 weeks straight, and the melons split, the tomatoes rotted on the vine. It was devastating. And I was very discouraged, to be honest. And then, of course, if you travel and you go out of town, how are you supposed to keep up with watering, especially in a drought, unless you have some really great neighbors, which we do, but who really wants to ask their neighbors to come and water things all the time? So, one of the great benefits of growing your own food and specifically using a tower garden is that it's super fresh. I mean, you pick it when you're ready to eat it. It's vine ripened. You never have to pick it early, um, and let it sit in the refrigerator. I mean, how many times have we bought something and we said, "Oh, this looks so good in the store," and we get it home and we put it in the refrigerator, and either we forget about it or um, it goes bad before we get a chance to eat it, or we start to use it or eat it and it just doesn't even taste good. So that's a big one right there. Is like our produce just does not taste the same. It's not as nutrient dense as it used to be. Anything that you've bought in the store is most likely picked way before it's ripe, so it's not getting all that nutrition that it's supposed to have. It's shipped hundreds or maybe even thousands of miles sometimes, and it's just not fresh. I mean, we went to a farmer's market last weekend and I knew the produce wasn't grown super local, but we bought these gorgeous tomatoes and they had zero flavor, nothing. Um, so there's nothing like getting super fresh food. And what I really love is that nobody else touches it. So um, I don't actually wash my produce when I grow it on the tower garden. I will look it over a little bit to make sure that there's no little live bugs on it, but for the most part, I don't even wash it. The lettuce comes straight off the tower, right into our salad, the tomatoes, everything, the peppers. So another reason is fun. They are so fun. These are my neighbors' kids. They absolutely love their tower garden. And this is my friend's son who came over and he was asking his mom if he could just pick some off the tower and take it home because he loves kale. So I was like, of course he can. So he wanted to go home and make some kale chips. So that to me is really exciting and fun. It's my morning coffee place. I love to go out in the morning and just kind of inspect my plants like you do a normal garden. I do that as well. I have a tower garden in the house too, and I have 3 outside. So, but my favorite is to go outside in the morning and just kind of just just look at all my plants and see what they're doing. On the right is a friend of mine who has used the tower gardens as part of her landscape garden, which is really beautiful. And there's a picture coming up a little later that shows a little closer up. I think this is in Connecticut. Another reason to grow with a tower garden is it's super fast. I put these pictures up here so in 3 weeks growth you can see how much that lettuce and the kale, and that's mustard all the way in the bottom right, grew. And it's just massive. I mean, it grows so fast. And I've been picking at this too. So on the March 18th picture, I've already started harvesting off of that lettuce. And the beauty of it is it just keeps growing. In fact, here, if you look at the lower bottom left picture, you can see lettuce seedlings. Those little lettuce seedlings are now what you see in the middle picture up at the top and then on the right. So I had actually added an extension on top of my tower garden so I could grow 28 plants in the house versus 20. And that the lettuce that you're seeing right there from the 18th to the 31st, that's how much it's grown. In fact, it's ready to be picked. So now I'm going to have lots of lettuce, and which is good because now that it's getting warmer, we're eating salads like every day. So here's another picture. A friend of mine, she was growing lettuce, and this is what she's got a month later. And you do get a 30% higher yield, and that's a picture of one Swiss chard leaf. That's not an abnormal leaf. That is as big as they will get. And my husband is holding that up, and he does have a big head, and you can't even see his head. So you do get a higher yield, and it's pretty remarkable. It's pretty exciting when you start to harvest. Another fantastic reason is the water usage. So we use 98% less water to grow produce in the tower garden. When you think about most people don't realize that to grow, uh, say, 2 pounds of tomatoes, to grow 2 pounds of tomatoes in a traditional way, it takes about almost 55 gallons of water. And to grow uh, one head of romaine, traditionally, it takes 30 gallons of water versus 1 gallon of water in the tower garden. And I know we've had a lot of romaine recalls, so even if you weren't worried about the recalls on that for the romaine, think about how much water that is. 30 gallons for that one head of romaine. So considering that one person uses 120 gallons a day, you know, conserving water, I think we know why we need to conserve water. I don't really feel like I need to go into that too much. Only 2% of the planet's water is actually water that we could ever use if it were clean. The rest of it's salt water. So um, one benefit too, there's so many benefits, but you can really grow anywhere. So if you're outside, you can grow on a deck or a patio. You can grow, this is a deck, these are both on, this one's a porch. There's really no limit to where you can grow it as long as you have sunlight outside or some kind of light, daylight. This one is on a porch on the left. Actually it's a balcony. I'm not sure if it's in Hawaii or I'm not sure exactly where that is, but you can see there's a highway down there and a beautiful mountain. And yeah, those are strawberry leaves. And I love this one on the right. So this one is a rooftop garden, and I would have loved to have had a tower garden when I lived in New York City. My father-in-law came up to visit one time, and we went to the hardware store and we bought pots and soil and um, all kinds of things to garden, and we got some tomato plants going, and it was really awesome. I was able to harvest tomato plants, but I cannot tell you how many more tomato plants I would have had if I had remembered to water when I needed to. I would go to work and I'd come home and I was like, oh man, I forgot to water again, and the plants would droop and they'd get blossom end rot. And it was fun, but it could have been a lot more fun if I didn't have the stress of worrying about did I water enough or not or too much. Or you don't have that issue with the tower gardens. You don't have to worry about how much or how often to water. So the rooftop garden's pretty cool. Oh, and here's a landscape garden. That's a close-up of my friend's garden. It's absolutely gorgeous. She gets a lot of produce. I'm not sure how many towers she has. She has quite a few, though. I have 4, and I know she's got more than me. So you can grow indoors. So I started growing indoors last year. The middle picture is one of mine from, I think it was probably around February, maybe. I decided to grow indoors because I was battling the cabbage worms that were eating all my kale outside. Now this year, I haven't had that problem at all. I've been spraying them down every day and with the garden hose and haven't any problem. But I really wanted to be able to grow lettuce year round, and it's too hot in Mississippi to grow lettuce. It will bolt within, a week. It'll start to bolt, and it gets bitter, and it's just not very good. So I really wanted to be able to grow lettuce year round. And I was able to do that. I grew arugula, lettuce, parsley, Swiss chard, kale, of course. Gotta have my kale. And probably some other things. I think basil. Yeah, some delicious basil. This guy over here on the left, he built his own cage because the inside tower, the flex, you can't put your own cage. You can't have a cage on it unless you manufacture something of your own. But I'll get into that a little bit more in a second. But this is actually, I think, in his back, some kind of like a utility room. The one on the right is Eric's tower in the basement. And you'll see he's got some red lights there because he's growing indoors. He's growing strawberries and tomatoes indoors. And this one's in the living room on the left. The middle one is in a basement, and the one on the right is also in a basement. Those are in like upstate New York, Connecticut area. And you can even do a Tower Garden farm. Like this would be amazing. You can buy seedlings from Tower Garden farms as well, which is, it's not cheating. It's just expediting and gardening a smart way, because sometimes we don't even have time to start the seeds. I mean, that's how busy we get, right? I know we have a lot of time on our hands now, some of us, but that's not always the case. So how easy is it to grow in a tower garden? It's easy. I kid you not. So you plant the seeds into the rock wool. It's this volcanic, soft, very lightweight spun material. And as soon as they start to sprout, you just make sure they're kept moist. You can buy plants from a nursery that has soil on them. You just rinse it off, and that is a little bit time consuming, and then you just pop them into the rock wool, or you can buy the plants already in the rock wool, and there's a couple different companies that do that across the United States. They're really wonderful, and I'm actually about to order some tomato, eggplant, and maybe even cucumber. Normally I would start those from seeds, but we've had such gorgeous weather. I don't really want to wait too much longer. I kind of want to get going on it. So, and I have lots of time right now to take care of them. So, and just enjoy them and get a nice early harvest. So when the seedlings have their second set of leaves, you can either use this hook system or the basket, which is a little black basket. You just pop right in there, and then you pop in your seedlings, and that's it. And when I say easy, I'm not joking. It's easy. And this is my mother-in-law's tower garden, and she always says that she didn't get the green thumb from her mama. So she'll be the first to admit that she'll kill any plant. And she was able to grow these zucchinis, and I think she got some yellow squash and eggplant that year. This is from last year. Just massive growth. And she really enjoyed having that fresh produce and just watching everything grow. So there's two different tower gardens. There's the home, and then there's the flex. So I'm going to go into the different qualities each has. The home just came out. So the home is, well, either one takes up very little space. The home is a 24-inch diameter, which is really fantastic because I have a flex inside and I'm always trying to push it. I've had to push it from my foyer to my living room, and it doesn't quite fit through the doorways. There's a lot of pushing and shoving to get it through. So the home is really convenient. It has a water gauge, so you don't have to worry about it running out of water or checking it. I mean, obviously you have to check it and just make sure you fill it up with water. But this can only be used indoors. So if you know you are not going to grow outdoors, you don't even have the capability or the desire to grow outdoors, this is the way to go. It comes with the lights, which is fantastic, and it has the wheels already on it. The Tower Garden Flex can be used inside or outside. Now you do need to have the lights for inside. So when I started off, I had the Flex. And when I decided I wanted to grow indoors, I purchased the lights, which were $300. But they're LED lights, and it works great on the Flex. So you don't have to have the Tower Garden home. But I actually want to get a home very soon. But right now I have the 4, and I have to find room for one more. This is shown with the support cage and the dolly. You do need to have a dolly of some sort. You don't have to buy one from Tower Garden, but you do have, if you want to make one, have at it. But you do need to be able to roll it around for different reasons. You might want to roll it to a water source, or perhaps you want to rotate it. Or I've had to actually wheel mine inside in the South when we've had some really cold weather. And I didn't want to just cover them with a sheet and put some lights on it. I just felt like it would be better to move it inside, and so we rolled it inside, because when the reservoir is filled, it's very, very heavy. You can't really move it or slide it like that. And I will say, and you can put an extension on. So the Tower Garden that you saw that's in my foyer, that has an extension. This one here grows 20 plants, and the extension will allow for an additional 8 plants. And you can get more than one extension. The only thing is, you're adding 8 plants as you go. You might need the heavy duty pump. And of course, keep in mind, when the extension is on, it's more difficult to move around. So with the extension on, it's a little more difficult for me to move it into the house and out of the house, should I need to do that. So if you're not worried about people touching your food, and you're not worried about pesticides, and you're not worried about herbicides, and you're not worried about getting something fresh, and being able to use it right away and not having waste. And you're only worried about the cost. Is it worth the $50 or $80 cost for 12 months? Um, a company broke it down a little bit, and this is what they came up with. Now, this is, I think, the pricing is a little different on the initial costs, but it gives you a good idea. So in a 6-month yield, they got $796 worth of produce. Granted, that's not going to be the same for everybody. In the beginning, I was very concerned about price. I didn't want to buy something that wasn't going to work, or I wasn't going to be able to get a good amount of produce out of it. And then I realized there was so much more to it than just the cost of it. The taste is unbelievable, the freshness, the tenderness. Uh, but you will get your yield. You will probably, in less than a year, you'll probably regain what you would have spent at the store. I haven't bought lettuce in years. I don't even know the last time I bought lettuce. And we eat a lot of lettuce. And anything organic in the store, again, it's organic is great. Don't get me wrong. When I do buy something from the store, I do buy organic. However, it's not fresh. There is no way to get something fresh unless you have gone out, picked it from your garden, grew it on a tree, dug it up from the ground, picked it off your tower. There's just no way. And every day something is picked and stored, it's losing nutrients. So why not? If you're going to eat something, it's hard to get that 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables in one day. If you're going to eat something, you might as well make it the most nutrient dense. I think I read somewhere that one peach, to get the nutrients of one peach today that you would have gotten, I don't remember how many years ago it was, you have to eat like 30 peaches. And I think we've all seen how the taste of things have changed from when we were younger. Um, so that's that about the Tower Garden. I will say that there is a business behind the Tower Gardens and the Juice Plus company. It's much more than just an MLM, multi-level marketing business or network marketing. It's a community of like-minded people who genuinely care about taking care of their health and the well-being of others. Um, what I love is you can work from home. There's no overhead quotas, no minimums. There's no business or health or gardening background is necessary to enjoy any of it, including the business part of it. You can start your business for $52 a week, and it's a really amazing company with a heart, and we all come together to educate and to encourage each other for the greater good. And we have a lot of fun. So if this sounds like something that's a good match for you, whether the business or just getting a tower, or you want any more information, please get with the person who invited you, and we'll answer whatever questions you may have. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Jen and Eric, for helping to put the presentation together. All right, you guys have a great evening, great day. Whenever you're watching this, enjoy.